What's cracking everyone, Titanic Llama here, and today we're talking everything Vman. The quest line to unlock it, how to crystal countdown to get your Vman's skill levels higher than your other characters, its important talents, and of course, speedrunning. So let's get straight into it, shall we? As always, we will go over the quest line to unlock this class first. Just as it is with all of the secret classes, this questline is not as straightforward as it is with regular classes, but thankfully the Voidwalker has the most straightforward questline of all of the secret classes. First things first, we need to have a level 150 Maestro, which shouldn't be too difficult to accomplish if you have World 5 unlocked. A couple of days of AFKing on one of the first few maps in World 5 should get you these levels without too much hassle. Once your Maestro is level 150, upon entering World 4 Town and running to the far right, you will see a new NPC appear. This is Nebulite. He is the quest giver for the Voidwalker quests. As I mentioned, all of these are pretty straightforward. The first quest is to simply have 1 million Death Note kills on all monsters from Worlds 1, 2, and 3. Due to the Death Note kills being account-wide, you can use all of your characters to help you get this done faster if it's not already complete by the time you go to make your Vman. The second quest just needs you to kill Chaotic Difficulty Cheeseor on your Maestro, which at this point should be a piece of cake. The third quest will probably take the longest unless you decide to use time candies to get your way through it. For this one, you will need to hit 12 million green mushroom kills on your Maestro specifically. You can check how many kills you currently have by looking here on your green mushroom card. This kill number is unique to each character. Once you've finished the third quest, simply head back to Nebulite, grab the fourth and final quest, which is just accepting the Voidwalker class upgrade. Let me be the first to congratulate you on becoming one of us. With that out of the way, let's get into all of the important points of having a Vman. The first thing I feel like I should point out when it comes to the Voidwalker class specifically is that they do not earn talent points like other classes do when leveling up. There are two sources of talent points available to the Voidwalker. The first is by putting points into the Maestro's one step ahead talent, and it is important to do this as soon as you unlock your Vman, otherwise you won't be able to start earning additional talent points using the second method, which is speedrunning. When completing a speedrun using the Void Trial Rerun skill, each portal that you open will reward you with 30 talent points. Talent points earned through speedrunning are based on your high score and not each individual run. So, to break it down, let's say on your first ever speedrun you open 10 portals, that will earn you 300 talent points, and then let's say you manage to open 15 portals on your second speedrun. Your total talent points will jump up to 450, awarding you 150 new talent points for the 5 additional portals that you managed to open compared to your first run. Now, before we move on to explaining how speedruns work, let's talk about how to distribute your initial lot of talent points from one step ahead. I'd personally aim to put a minimum of 100 talent points into one step ahead. With 100 talent points, I'd put 50 into Void Trial Rerun, 40 into Void Radius, and 5 into both Bossing Vein and Quad Jab. If you can get more than 100 talent points into one step ahead, I'd simply split the additional talent points evenly between Void Trial Rerun and Void Radius. With this setup, it should maximize the amount of portals that you'll be able to open on your very first run. Okay, before starting any speedrun, you will want to set up your Vman with as much multi-kill, mob respawn, damage, and movement speed as you can possibly muster utilizing your best gear, potions, golden foods, cards, and chips from the lab to help maximize your speedrun. I will be showing my first ever speedrun on my free-to-play account here as a visual guide as I continue to explain. But with that said, let's actually go over speedrunning and how it works. Upon using the Void Trial Rerun skill, you will start a new speedrun and be teleported to World 1 Town, with the game being in a sort of grayscale compared to its normal colouring. Beginning a speedrun will set all of your Vman's kills and therefore your portal access to 0. All towns that you have unlocked in the main game will remain open along with the first monster map of that world. The goal of a speedrun is to progress through the game as fast as you can and open as many portals as possible by killing enemies and bosses. Something to note with the bosses is that each difficulty of the boss counts as a portal opening, so when it comes to killing bosses, it's best to kill them on Nightmare difficulty as it will count for 3 portals, 1 for each difficulty, while you're only having to do the fight once. Things to note when speedrunning will be: you can still teleport using the map, and this is highly advisable to save as much time as possible when traversing the world's maps. Why waste a few seconds running from one side of the screen to the other when you can just open the map and instantly teleport, right? It's a speedrun after all. Try your best to remember which maps have multiple portals, as you will want to try and open both during a speedrun. A good example of this is the Beans map. You have the normal portal that takes you to the Slimes map, but also the left portal that takes you to Baba Yaga's map. Finally, the last thing is utilizing Void Radius as efficiently as you can. Void Radius is a large AoE attack which at higher levels should fully clear any map, but that's not what's important. During a speedrun, upon using Void Radius, you will get a buff that drastically increases your multi-kill for 20 seconds. So it is advised to turn off auto-use skills in the options menu so you can time when to use your radius. On top of this, you'll generally want to try and use Void Radius and the multi-kill buff to try and push the more difficult maps that will take longer to open. Remember, the total number of portals opened is far more important than finishing a world early on with your Vman to help maximize the talent points that you can earn. Later on, finishing a world and killing bosses will become more important as you start to try and maximize your speedrun prints and open later game portals. The reason for this is the bossing Vane skill. Not only does this skill make boss kills count as portal openings, it will also increase your mob respawn for each boss killed, resulting in more mobs killed faster for later portals and much higher mob prints later in the game. The last thing to explain when it comes to speedruns is speedrun sampling or speedrun prints. Your Vman will become the heavy lifter on your account when it comes to producing monster materials in large quantities for whatever reason you desire, whether that be fueling your refinery, maxing out vials, or getting to a point where you can hourly click certain alchemy bubbles. So to perform a speedrun print, you simply need to take a sample during your Vman's speedrun, but there's a little bit more to it than that, so let's get into the nitty gritty. As previously mentioned, the bossing Vane skill will increase your mob respawn rate, which will in turn increase the amount of mobs calculated when taking prints. On top of this, during a speedrun, using the Void Radius skill will give you a boost to your multi-kill per tier for 20 seconds after using the skill. So, to maximize your prints, you will want to try and kill as many bosses as you can during a speedrun, while leaving enough time to go back to all of the monsters that you want to take samples of. Finally, make sure that you sample while you have the Void Radius buff active on your character. Early on, I wouldn't worry too much about these prints, maybe just take one of green mushroom caps and pocket sand to help fuel your refinery, but as you progress further into Idleon and your damage grows and you can reliably kill Amarok and Ephon during a speedrun, you might want to start thinking more about taking these prints to help progress your alchemy and fuel your refinery even further. Now that you know how to get your talent points and the general gist of speedrunning, let's go over some of the more important talents that the Voidwalker brings to the table. First and foremost, the strongest and I'd say most important talent they have is Blood Marrow. This is a multiplicative increase to your cooking speed and it is huge.
No, that's a lot of
cooking speed. I'd say when it comes to your Vman's skilling spec, this is the first talent that you will want to max out before anything else. Next up would be Voodoo Statification. This one is pretty self-explanatory. All of your statues will give a larger bonus to all of your characters, which is also very, very strong. Enhancement Eclipse is a talent that will augment talents from both the Vman and other classes. You will get a new augment every 25 points invested into the skill up to a cap of 250. All of these augments are very good, but the main goals here are: Level 50 will make the Siegebreaker's Pirate Flag skill spawn plunderous mobs more frequently, and once your flag hits a count of 100, you will spend 25 charge to instantly spawn a new plunderous mob, allowing you to keep your plunder chains active for a lot longer. Level 125 adds a Super Chow tier to the Blood Berserker's Apocalypse Chow skill, which will require 100 million kills each. Each Super Chow will award a cooking speed multi. I personally wouldn't aim to complete Super Chows too early on. You will want to bolster your multi-kill and AFK rates a lot before going for these. Level 150 augments the Whale Wallop, making the Beastmaster actually somewhat useful. This will make Whale Wallop spawn a ton more whales and have a much larger range. But on top of this, and the more important part, is it also gives all active Beastmaster kills a 50% chance to give 3 seconds of progress for pretty much the whole breeding skill. This helps generate eggs faster, speeds up spice production, but more importantly for late to endgame is it also affects the fence yard, allowing you to farm time to level up your shinies faster. And last but not least, at level 225, you will get a boost to the DK's Nightly Disciple, making it last 20 seconds longer, which is a lot stronger than it sounds. The other augments I didn't mention are still good and worth the talent points, but a lot of them are just slight changes to how talents affect your characters or which ones they affect. For example, making the right and left hands of learning Maestro skills actually affect the Vman. Finally, both the Master of the System and Species Epoch skills are both very strong modifiers, but they don't really need any explanation. The former gives a great damage multi and the latter increases your critter gains. Last thing to go over when it comes to the Vman is crystal countdowning. Did you know the most poisonous fish in the world is the stonefish? Its sting can cause shock, paralysis, and even death if not treated within a few hours, and is just another name on the long list of creatures that are trying to end you here in Australia. Anywho, as I was saying, crystal countdowning is how you're going to be able to catch up your Vman skills and eventually push them higher than your other characters. The Maestro skill, Crystal Countdown, will lower the amount of experience required to level up a random skill from World 1, 2, or 3 by 2% every time you kill a crystal or giant mob, and this can stack up to 80% reduction or even higher at endgame levels. On top of this, the reduction effect is tracked individually for each skill, therefore you can reduce the amount of experience required to level up mining, chopping, smithing, alchemy, fishing, catching, worship, trapping, and construction by 80% each, and this reduction resets when you level each skill up. This makes it fairly easy to grind out levels quickly on your Vman, but to do this effectively we're going to need a few things though. The first and foremost is a Choco chip from the lab. This chip, when equipped, gives you a 75% chance to spawn a crystal mob whenever you kill a crystal mob, and can trigger again and again off the newly spawned mobs, which can cause some pretty bonkers chains to happen, and this is kind of what we're counting on essentially. Secondly, you will want to have both the Poop and Demon Genie cards ideally at 5 stars. Third, you will want to acquire the Omega Nano Chip and Omega Motherboard, also from the lab, to double the bonuses from the previously mentioned cards. These chips can be a nightmare to acquire because they are very rarely available in the chip shop. Like seriously, the next time the Omega Motherboard will be available is on the 6th of November 2025, and God forbid you get hit with the bug where it spawns in out of stock, which yes, of course that's the thing. A side note here is you can always check on the Idleon wiki when each chip will be available next on the laboratory page, which I will leave a direct link to in the description of this video. And finally, you will want to max out the Come On Out Crystal skill from the Journeyman tab. There are a few more minor things you can do to make crystal countdowning a bit more effective, like equipping mob respawn chips as well, but these are minor increases. What I've outlined are the essentials that I'd mainly focus on acquiring as soon as possible. With this setup, simply plonk your Vman on a map and let them go ham. As they kill crystals, you'll be able to watch your experience required plummet. Once a skill stops getting reduced, you will want to go and level it up and then get back to countdowning, rinse and repeat. That's essentially what crystal countdowning is. Yes, it is super tedious, but if you want your Vman to have the highest skill levels across your account, this is what you're going to have to do. And with that, we've covered all of the important aspects of the Vman. Hopefully this has helped clear up a few things when it comes to the Vman, and as always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. Finally, I just wanted to apologise for how long it took me to get this Vman guide out. I lost all motivation towards the end of last year with some of the decisions Lava was making with Idleon, and who knows, I might even have a video coming out soon discussing that. But for now, I just wanted to say that I do really appreciate each and every one of you who do watch my videos, and if you do enjoy watching my videos, only about 16% of people who do watch my videos are subscribed. I do have a goal of hitting 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year, so maybe just think about hitting that if you do enjoy my content, so you do get notified when I do put new videos out. But with that being said, I've been Titanic Llama, you've been watching a video, and I'm out. Peace.